What's going on, you guys? Today we're going to be learning the song Crazy Little Thing Called Love by Queen. Real quick before we get into it, I would like to ask that if you find this guitar tutorial helpful, that you please consider subscribing. That would really mean the world to me. Now let's get into it. You are watching Logan's Lessons. We start with a D major chord. To play a D major chord, we're going to place our first finger on the second fret of our G string, our ring finger on the third fret of the B string, and our middle finger on the second fret of the high E string. And for the intro, we go between that D major and a D sus4. To play a D sus4, all we're going to have to do is add our pinky finger on the third fret of the high E string. Our index finger, our middle finger, and our third finger all stay in the same place. It's D sus4, D, D sus4. So the strumming pattern for that is a down, up, down, up, up, down, up. We'll do that again. Down, up, down, up, up, down, up. But when you change the chords, you only play the D sus4 for the second and third down. So down, up, D sus4, up, D sus4, up. Down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Do that with me. Okay, so that is the intro. Now let's talk about the verse. We start with our D major chord, and you basically do the intro chord progression, this, 2 times. So you then go to a G major chord. To play a G major chord, we're going to place our middle finger on the third fret of the low E string, our index finger on the second fret of the A string, our third finger way down here on the third fret of the B string, and our pinky finger on the third fret of the high E string. That's a G major chord. We then have a C major chord, which is going to be played with our third finger on the third fret of the A string, our middle finger on the second fret of the D string, and our first finger on the first fret of the B string. And then you go back to the G major chord. So notice how the C and the last G get half as much time as either of the previous chords. I'll do it again. So just like that, we do the chord progression twice. The D to G, C, back to G. That whole thing happens twice. And then we get into the tag, where we start with the D major chord. This time we're not doing the D sus4 intro thing. We're just staying on the normal D major chord. And then we go to a B flat. To play a B flat chord, we're going to put our first finger on the first fret of the A string, our third finger on the third fret of the D string, and our pinky finger on the third fret of the G string, to a C major chord, D. So with the words we have, I ain't ready, crazy little thing called love. Just like that. I ain't ready, crazy little thing called love. Ba-da-da-da-ba-da-bum. And so you do that whole verse, including the tags, twice before we get into the chorus. I'll play the verse one time through for you. So now let's learn the chorus. The chorus is the part where he goes, there goes my baby. She knows how to rock and roll. She, you know, that piece of the song. We start on a G major chord. And then you split the next measure between C and G. So I'll do that whole first line for you. Then the second line, we start with the B flat instead of a G. Then to an E major chord. To play an E major chord, we're going to put our middle finger on the second fret of the A string, our third finger on the second fret of the D string, and our first finger on the first fret of the G string. And then an A major. To play an A major, it's just a bar across the second fret of the D, G, and B strings like that. Now, some people like to play it like this. This is how I like to play it. The other way some people like to play it is with your index finger on the second fret of the D string, your middle finger on the second fret of the G string, and your third finger on the second fret of the B. Whichever way is most comfortable for you. I find this personally to be a little bit more cramped, but because you're using 3 fingers, you have more muscle, so it can be easier to push down the strings. It's a trade-off. Do whatever works best for you. But the A major chord is just strummed downwards once. The E major chord is strummed more like what you would think it would be. So B flat. Like that. So I'll do the chorus up to that point. Do that with me now. And that gets us into this cool transitional instrumental piece. To do that, we're going to just walk down from the 5th fret of our A string with our third finger to the 4th fret to the 3rd fret, all on the same string. And then you do the same thing, just up a string on the low E. So, just like that. And then we come down here to the 5th fret of the B string. And that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. And then we have this little thing, which is the 2nd fret of the G string to the open G string. Each of these is played twice, by the way. Down, up. Open G to the 4th fret of the D string to the 2nd fret of the D string. Give it that little bounce, you know? So that whole little instrumental piece will sound like this. And that leads you right back into the verse. And so on and so forth. Do that with me. So as I just said, that gets you into another verse, and then we have an interlude. The interlude starts with the B flat. Then we go to a D major. Back to a B flat. To an E major. A, just kind of like at the end of the chorus. So, then we actually still have this, but you do not do the second half of that. That's all just a snare drum, pa, 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 and then we go into an a cappella verse. Now, you could technically play the guitar part under that a cappella verse, especially if you're playing the song around a campfire or something, but in the recording, they don't have guitar. Then we have another verse where there is guitar, and then an outro. The outro is quite simple, actually. The outro is just the B flat, C, D from the tag of the chorus, just repeated a bunch of times. Crazy little thing called love. Crazy little thing called love. Crazy little thing called love. And so on and so forth. And that is how you play Crazy Little Thing Called Love. If you have a song request, comment it. If you wish to be notified of future videos, hit the bell. I sincerely hope that you are well. Please do me a favor and hit that like button blue. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe too. I hope this video has been a blessing. You've been watching Logan's Lessons.